Hello, and welcome to the Book Doctor's YouTube channel.
So we're going to address a big, huge issue today, and that is the query. We get all questions constantly. How do I make a great query? Why am I not getting reactions from my query? What is a query exactly? So let's define our terms.
It's really actually one of the most important parts of this entire process. A huge part of our business actually is helping people write their query letters.
Yep.
So a query letter is the letter that you send to an agent or an editor at a publishing house that introduces you and your book to that person.
We used to call it a letter of introduction back in the days of yore.
And the point of a query letter is to get someone interested in you or your book to the point where they want to take the next step, whether that's asking for a manuscript or a proposal in sample chapters or getting on the phone with you or what have you.
Or saying, my God, I've got to be in business with this person.
Exactly.
Hello, I want to offer you a contract.
And there's lots of formulas out there for how to do this. Even in our own book, we have a formula of sorts. I think there are certain things that do make sense to go in a query letter, but at the same time, a query letter has to be sculpted to fit who you are and what your book is.
It has to be organic. It has to. Can we say that everybody has arrows in their quiver, that skills that they have and things that they've done that gives them expertise.
Right.
And each of those things has to be taken into account as you sculpt your query letter.
Let us tell you what we have in our book, and then we're going to tell you what we think can be changed from that formula, which isn't even totally a formula. But we say there are 3 paragraphs in a query letter. The first paragraph is your connection to the agent or editor, whether that be a referral from someone, whether that be because of a book you read that they agented, or an author that you love that they agent, or simply by doing your research.
You met them at a workshop, or a writer's conference,
what have you.
Or you have some incriminating evidence to blackmail them with. That's probably the best way to go about it.
So that's paragraph number 1. Number 2 is essentially your pitch. Whatever is going to go on the back of a paperback copy of your book. So your pitch is about a paragraph or 2 long.
250 words-ish.
200, 250, something like that. And then the last paragraph is a short bio to tell people who you are. So that's the structure. Now, we'll do a deep dive into each of these, and then we're going to say how we deviate.
Yes.
So that introductory paragraph, let's say you did meet someone at a conference or someone referred you. It could be as simple as David Henry Sterry suggested I send you a query for my book, blah, blah, blah. Or it could be in more detail. I've done extensive research about agents, and I see that you represent 3 of my favorite authors, including, blah, blah, and blah. X, Y, and Z, favorite authors.
Sure.
And it would be such an honor to be part of your list. That's another version of that sentence.
Yes. You can also say something like, I saw on the Huffington Post that you were interviewed and that you love dolphins and unicorns. Well, my book is about dolphins and unicorns. I mean, all these things have to be totally true.
Right.
You can't make stuff up.
So, and there's a way in which people get very generic with these paragraphs. I read on the Huffington Post that you love women's fiction. Well, I've written women's fiction. That doesn't, there's not a real connection there.
I saw you were interviewed and you said you like books. Well, I've written a book. So it's a perfect match.
And we see a lot.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of that. Yes. A lot of that. So that's what you have to be careful of. If you don't have something that is true connection to the person, that paragraph,
get rid of it.
Out of there. And no point in having it.
While we're at the top of the query, do not misspell the name of the person you're sending it to. She has a slightly complicated name. She gets Arielle Eckstut. Arielle Eckstut.
Also, dear agent.
Dear agent. Don't do that, dear agent.
You know their name.
Just no.
Okay. So the pitch part of the query letter we're not going to do a deep dive into
We have so
because
many
we have so many videos
about the
about
pitches,
that.
and it's in our book. And,
Yeah. So pitch. That's
but just one piece of advice: read the back of 50 books in your category, and you'll get a
an
good
idea.
crash course.
Now, the bio is
tricky.
one of the most important parts of
We
your
do have a
query
video
letter.
on that also.
We do as well. This is just the short bio for a query letter.
Yes.
This is like 3 sentences, usually
Tops,
max.
yes.
Unless you have an incredibly impressive bio.
Right.
Now, if that's the case,
Yes.
what do? We
Probably put
switch
that
it
at
up.
the top.
We put it at the top.
Like if you were Barack Obama, you might start with, I was once president of the United States for
Exactly.
eight years.
Now,
That's how I'd
sometimes-
start that pitch, wouldn't you? The query?
Definitely. Sometimes people who have very impressive bios don't realize they have
Right,
very
they don't even know.
Like if you are a regular writer for a major magazine or newspaper, you start with that.
If you appear on NPR as the go-to person for geopolitical catastrophes.
If you are a professor at a major university with a chair or some interesting background and awards, what have you, you want to start
If you
there.
have a weekly column in even a small little newspaper or journal, one of our clients had that,
Right.
and it led him to get a fantastic book deal with Workman, who's our publisher.
Although I don't know if I would have led with that in that case.
But, you know, see, I mean, and this is trial and error. Also, we should say that there are no, people. Email us all the time. What are the rules for doing this? Well, the rules are you do whatever gets you in the door and
That's
gets somebody to go,
exactly
oh my
right.
God, I have to be in business with this person.
Yeah. And sometimes, let's say you have no writing credentials,
Right.
and we have a whole video
We
on your
do.
bio, but let's say you don't have a particularly impressive bio for the sake of your book. It could just be one sentence.
Yes, it could.
It could say, I am a lover of science fiction, and I live in Minnesota,
And I have 3 puppies.
and I have 3 pugs.
That's
Whatever.
sufficient.
That it doesn't need to be over you don't have to try and figure out stuff that's just filler.
And I probably wouldn't say, my hobby is writing and I love writing.
Right.
Because, it's we get that a lot from people who haven't been published much.
It's actually better to say you love reading than you love writing.
It is.
Because it shows, especially if you read a lot in your category of the bookstore, that you know what you're talking about. So again, the thing I want to emphasize is that this query letter is for one purpose. It's to get the person interested.
That's right.
So whether it's through the beautiful writing of
Yes.
the query letter, whether you have a single credential or a single connection, it doesn't matter. If you have beautiful writing, someone is going to request.
And if you're writing about a subject that lots of people are interested in,
Yeah.
and there's a little hole in the market where you're carving out some new territory in
Exactly.
a familiar place. Here's a couple of, for sending the query out. We advocate don't use the form on the website, because it's just going to get read by some intern. If they're a male, they have a wisp, they're trying to grow a mustache but can't quite do it yet. You can find anybody's email address. And
Right.
we had a fantastic editor on our Pitchapalooza panel, and he said, I don't care if someone sends me an email, if they have a great book and it's something that's right for me.
Even someone at a major publishing house.
This was an editor at
Yeah.
like a huge place where you're not supposed to ever send things.
Yeah.
And he literally said, I have found books like that. Because he doesn't care. He just wants the next great book, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So don't send it on the little form even when they tell you. And they're also going to tell you, agents especially, do not make multiple submissions. Don't listen to that, because
See the face I'm
look
making?
at the face. Of course they don't want you to make multiple submissions.
Unless you want to wait
Let's get to
80
that.
years
Yeah,
to
you're
get
right,
your
because
book published.
They don't want you to make multiple submissions because they want to have you all for yourself and take years to get back to you if they want.
Yeah.
You want to create a situation where there's competition for your book. So of course you're going to send it to more than one person. Now, you can send it as an exclusive to someone. If you have one agent and you're querying them and you think they're the most perfect, You can say, I'm sending this to you exclusively, but put a ticking clock on it. You have this for 3 weeks.
Yep.
And then I'm going to send it out wide.
If you have more questions about the query, please comment. And we cannot stress enough the importance of the follow-up. And we have a video on that.
We do.
Please watch that, because that could be the difference between getting no offers and getting 10 offers.
It could be the...
And we're not kidding about that.
Not at all. And it could be the difference between not getting an agent and getting a wife and a mother of your child.
That's true, too. That's a whole other story.
That's another novel.
All right, everybody.
See you at the bookstore.